The event today is something that is new, that's never happened in the history of the armed forces of Nigeria.
Also on the news, Nigeria police explains arraignments of End Bad Governance protesters.
The fact that you're a 13-year-old doesn't mean you cannot be charged with court.
Good to have you join us on the network news. I am Lami Ali. Bernie Adams is here with me in the studio for business news segments, and Ayodi Kinde has the latest on sports. You can check us on nta.ng/live and on other platforms of the NTA. Now, President Bola Tinubu has received the National Economic Council's recommendation on the tax reform bills already sent to the National Assembly to be withdrawn for further consultation. In a statement, President Tinubu commends the National Economic Council members, especially Vice President Kashim Shettima and the 36 state governors for their advice. He believes that the legislative process, which has already begun, provides an opportunity for input and necessary changes without withdrawing the bills from the National Assembly. While urging the NEC to allow the process to take its full course, President Tinubu welcomes further consultations and engagements with key stakeholders to address any reservations about the bills while the National Assembly considers them for passage. The statement also says when President Tinubu set up the Presidential Committee on Tax and Fiscal Policy Reform in August 2023, he had only one objective: to reposition the economy for better productivity and efficiency, and also make the operating environment for investment and businesses more conducive. This objective remains more critical even today than ever before. The Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit must redouble efforts in ensuring that federal government policies on food security are sustained. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the charge during the second meeting of the unit, constituted as part of efforts to tackle hunger. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila has the details.
The Presidential Food Systems Coordinating Unit is in a vantage position to catalyze the nation's food security drive. Inaugurated in July 2024 to come up with a Food Systems Council to address food insecurity in the country.
So let's walk the talk. This presidential initiative is a very beautiful one. But we have a lot of beautiful presidential initiatives from time immemorial. It's the implementation that counts. And we are at a unique position to really catalyze our challenges into progress. By next week, I will still commandeer the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Budget and Economic Planning to visit IITA, push them hard so that the cassava value chain can be enhanced. You can grow cassava in the poorest of soils in the desert of Borno or Yobe or anywhere. Cassava is a very resilient crop that can grow almost anywhere.
Expressing hope of increasing availability in Nigeria, Vice President Kashim Shettima said the unit boasts of some of the leading lights in the nation's private sector, whose experience and contacts must be harnessed to drive the process.
We've agreed that we have to face it as an agribusiness, not forgetting the smallholder farmers, to make sure that all of them are busy where they are, and to make sure that we replenish our grain stocks. How government will also, federal government and state government will also buy foods during these bumper harvests, so that we can store it for onward delivery, to the communities.
The state of Nigeria where it is today, it makes domestic production highly competitive compared to imports.
As the proposal, we have some plans, especially the GIP, the Green Imperative program that is going to be supported by Brazil. That's a €195 million program.
Voice is important on the table, and it's good that government understands the role that we can play in supporting to get that execution done.
The meeting called for a fundamental shift in the country's approach to food security, emphasizing the need for a better coordination between federal and state governments. From the State House, Abdulrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Nigeria will be among the top 80 countries on the Global Human Capital Index by building a healthier, better educated and empowered citizens by 2030. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this while inaugurating the HCD 2.0 strategy during a meeting of the steering committee of the Human Capital Development Program at the Presidential Villa. Again, State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila reports.
Ambitious but quite achievable, government called on Nigerians to embrace the Human Capital Development Program. Vice President Kashim Shettima recalled how Nigeria had faced a stark reality in 2018 when the nation's ranking on global human capital indices showed critical gaps in health, education and employment.
I urge you, let us work as a team. Nigeria is not where it ought. Be rest assured that we'll drive this process in partnership with our friends in the development community, in the NGOs, in ECOWAS, in the Governors Forum.
This meeting is showing the urgency to address situations that compelled Nigeria to prioritize human capital development, leading to the launch of the HCD 1.0 to build a healthy, educated and productive Nigeria by 2030.
And then cross-cutting elements such as gender and equal opportunities, digital economies, kind of futuristic sectors, climate change and sustainability. And then there are enablers such as data and such as the governance structure, of which the steering committee is the apex of the governance structure of the program.
The World Bank is already investing a lot in this area, and we are very pleased to see the leadership of the Vice President who will drive this process, working with all stakeholders across federal ministries, but also state governors and state officials, and all the other stakeholders to really accelerate. It's really about accelerating the efforts and the work in this area.
This engagement also highlighted the importance of robust monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning processes to ensure transparency and effectiveness in tracking progress. From the State House, Abdulrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Vice President Shettima has inaugurated the National Flood Erosion, Drought and Desertification Management Council with a mandate to establish a comprehensive approach to combating the growing challenges of environmental and climate-induced disasters. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrila brings us the story.
The inauguration of this council confirms the federal government's seriousness to tackle these environmental challenges through a unified response mechanism. The creation of the council followed recommendations from an updated roadmap on disaster management developed by a committee led by Kogi State Governor Usman Ahmad Ododo under the directives of the National Economic Council.
The council a new course in the management of nature-induced disasters in Nigeria. It also enables us to work collaboratively and share resources for better and optimal performance. This is against working in silos. For us to achieve the cardinal objective of setting up this council, we must be committed to fully participating in all its activities and operations. It is clear that the nature of disasters always calls for impromptu meetings. Accordingly, I urge all stakeholders to endeavor to be available at short notice. I have no doubt that we have the requisite knowledge and experience in our MDS to overcome whatever challenges there may be.
Looking for a permanent way, a permanent solution to these natural disasters. That is the basic mandate of this council.
Been given terms of reference to all with our own challenges. The Vice President has also requested that all states should also submit reports of the level of damages in their states that have been affected by the flood.
The committee's responsibilities include advising the federal government on disaster management strategies, developing a national disaster management strategy with immediate, medium and long-term measures, and enhancing public awareness of climate resilience practices. From the State House, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
The head of the Civil Service of the Federation, D.D. Wilson-Jack, says the current administration is working at developing a transportation scheme for federal civil servants to ease difficulties in commuting to and from work on a daily basis. She stated this when she appeared before the House Committee on Public Service for an interactive session.
For that, we are working with relevant agencies to see how we can acquire some of the CNG buses that would be used to develop a scheme, a transportation scheme for federal civil servants.
The Staff Housing Loans Board has been there for the civil servants. I know of civil servant that has benefited, but yet, you know, you have some source of funding which might not necessarily come into our budget. How much is being revolved, plus the money from the service-wide board, and what do you still need to augment the whole process?
Of the committee, Sani Bala urged the head of service to pay attention to the welfare needs of workers, especially in the areas of housing and insurance. The high maternal mortality rate in Nigeria can be reduced with committed legislative actions. This is the conviction of the Special Assistant to the President on Health, Dr. Salma Ibrahim Anas, as she dialogues with National Assembly committees on improving maternal health. Uche Ugochukwu reports.
Nigeria bears a high burden of maternal mortality with 80,000 cases in 2020 alone. Young mothers and the vulnerable most affected. Experts attribute the increased death rate to birth complications and lack of aftercare. This worrisome situation propelled the Special Advisor to the President on Health, Dr. Salma Ibrahim Anas, to seek the intervention of these lawmakers responsible for improving women's health and well-being.
We strongly believe that with our policy makers, we can truly make change within the time, and that's why we felt that we should have this dialogue to discuss how do we overcome them.
And it's very obvious that the whole world is off track, particularly for the target of reducing maternal mortality ratio. We should be below 75 per thousand live births by 2030.
Inadequate funding, poor primary health care, poverty, inequality, illiteracy were highlighted as major issues of concern.
There are a number of specific ways that we're trying to collaborate with the National Assembly. One of it is in the area of policy and legal frameworks.
We are pushing for increased funding of our health services. We're making sure that we have effective emergency service centers across the whole country and effective functional transfusion centers across the whole country.
The dialogue helps to make legislators more responsive in championing matters geared toward boosting maternal health. Uche Ugochukwu, NTA News.
Justice Obiora Egwatu on Friday granted bail to 125 alleged protesters of the August 2024 protests in Kano State. This was after they entered a plea of not guilty. The defendants were charged with terrorism by the Nigeria Police Force, who alleged that the defendants intended to overthrow the government of President Bola Tinubu. Counsel to the defendants, Marshal Abubakar, moved the application for their bail, which was granted in the sum of 10 million naira each and a surety of someone not less than level 16 in the civil service with a means of identification. Earlier, as the of arraignment, Justice Obiora suspended proceedings following the collapse of some of the teenagers in court. Justice Obiora invited health personnel from the court clinic who attended to them. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Police Force says the minors were arraigned for various offenses, including treasonable felony, terrorism and arson, which the force describes as capital offenses. Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Adejobi, in a briefing, sheds light on their arrest and subsequent arraignments.
But none of them is less than 7. I think the youngest should be 13. The fact that you're a 13-year-old doesn't mean you cannot be charged to court. So anybody, even the children and young person's act, you can still charge you to court because you are 13-year-old. You can go to court. So they have charged them to court for this. On behalf of the federal government of Nigeria, the police has taken the bull by the horn because these are those who actually are leveraged on the end bad governance protest. They hijacked the protest and they are so violent. They are the people that are flying the Russian flags and many foreign flags, which of course is a punishable offense.
We take a break now to bring you some messages. Major General Olufemi Olatubosun Oluyede assumes full command as the acting Chief of Army Staff, sequel to President Bola Tinubu's appointment. The Chief of Defense Staff, Christopher Musa, announced this at a symbolic ceremony in Abuja. The defense correspondent Ismail Musa has details.
A symbolic ceremony ushering in the acting Chief of Army Staff, Major General Olufemi Oluyede.
The event today is something that is new, that's never happened in the history of the armed forces of Nigeria. But as human beings, we know situations will always present itself, and what is done with the situation is what makes the difference.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, in clear terms spells out the mandate of the acting Chief of Army Staff.
As professionals, we are to continue with our task ahead. No gap to be left based on the challenges we have in the country. And it's in the wisdom of the President and Commander-in-Chief that today we present the authority to the acting Chief of Army Staff for him to have full control and command of the Nigerian Army.
My appointment as acting Chief of Army Staff is simply to hold sway while Lieutenant General T.A. Abuja, our Chief of Army Staff, is a way to enable him to take sufficient time to get necessary medical attention and recuperate. And that I intend to do with the whole of my heart and loyalty to the Constitution, as well as Mr. President.
The Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Torid Abiodun Lagbaja, is on a medical leave. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
With restoration of power supply in some states of northern Nigeria, residents of the areas are commending the federal government as socio-economic activities are gradually picking up. Here is an update from some of the affected states.
From Kano, Fatima Sanusi Karaye reports that Kano, the vibrant and bustling economic hub of the northern Nigeria, erupted in jubilation as electricity surged back to life after a 12-day blackout. The power outage had brought the city to a standstill, leaving businesses reeling and daily life disrupted. But with the lights now back, there is renewed hope and a collective sigh of relief as residents look towards a brighter, more stable future.
We received light today. We feel a little bit joy, not so much happy like that, because for some days now, a lot of people have lost a lot of millions.
It will not be easy, but we give God all the glory. We have survived it, and we thank God the light is back now.
Ibrahim Sani reports that Duse, the capital of Jigawa State, is full of jubilation as power is restored in most parts of the state, following the prolonged power outage that has disrupted socio-economic activities in Jigawa amongst other affected states. Though citizens are commending the restoration effort, they however advise stakeholders to improve on security along power installations to prevent future incidents of vandalism and ensure steady power supply.
Well, it has been restored, but halfway, because we only saw light here from 11 to 4:30 in the morning. Before 5, they took it up.
Also in Kaduna, the restoration of power supply to the state has brought life again to socio-economic activities, which heightened enthusiasm amongst residents, especially in Kaduna Metropole and environs, as reported by Clement Oloruntoba.
We are playing a ball, a training that we are so happy with each other.
From Jos, Bilkisu Nuhu reports that socio-economic activities are gradually returning following the restoration of electricity. As a result, residents applaud the federal government for its efforts in that regard after days of power cuts.
Buying of fuel is something that I'm not making profits from it, because like for the 10 days now that there was no light, I spent approximately almost up to like 15,000 naira to buy fuel and all that.
It has really affected the business because it makes the patronage to go low.
From Bauchi, Muazu Hassan reports that addressing issues that affected the national grid has brought back to life all activities that depend on power supply.
Many people are happy due to the restoration of this power supply.
If not because of the NEPA want us to put security into our transformer, if not, then could have vandalized everything.
Following the restoration of electricity to Katsina State after several days of total blackout, as reported by Suleiman Godogi, residents rejoice, applauding the federal government and the Transmission Company of Nigeria.
Government should invest in solar energy, and so that we can have alternative.
I just hope that whatever solution that the federal government is trying to put on, let it be a lasting one.
The report also says that economic activities will now be reactivated in different parts of the state.
The African Union and the Nigerian government celebrate the 1st of November every year as African National Youth Day to promote the role of youths as key agents of economic growth, social change and sustainable development in Africa. Olayinka Ojo in this report takes a look at the significance of this year's theme, Educate an African Fit 21st Century, on both the national and continental fronts.
The African and National Youth Day, established by the African Union in 2006, is aimed at promoting youth empowerment and engagement in socio-political issues. The day recognizes the contributions of young people to the continent's development as well as address the challenges they face.
Unemployment and empowerment, especially to our persons with disability.
And we need better digital literacy training.
It is also aimed at creating a brighter future for the next generation, where education, skills, employment, health, social justice, and participation in civic life inspire young people to take active roles in their communities. At the heart of discourse, building a resilient educational system that provides new hope for Nigerian youth is imperative.
The minister is promoting 2 skills for every youth. We will help you to develop lifelong skills in learning through digital technology.
The National Youth Welfare Scheme Fund Establishment Bill, sponsored by the Speaker himself, is making steady progress in the National Assembly.
For Nigeria, it is harnessing the power of youth for sustainable development, using government empowerment programs and curriculum tailored towards development of skills.
We've made up our mind to collaborate with every sector, even the informal youth. We want them to have education, at least primary education, so that you will know how to do your business.
In all higher institutions, a student will have access to higher education through the student loan that has been introduced by the federal government.
Experts say, since today Africa has the youngest population, which is its greatest asset, priority must be placed on increasing investment in education across the African continent. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
The agenda of President Bola to return 10 million out-of-school children to school and reform the Almajiri system of education is gaining support from stakeholders in Cross River State who view the initiative as a win-win development in education and well-being of Nigerian children. Maureen Liu Ajom has details.
That education is not all about paper qualification. Mr. President said enough, gone are the days when we would be worshiping degrees and degrees.
the President Bola Tinubu administration, through the National Commission for Amajiri and Out-of-School Children, has launched this initiative to return 10 million out-of-school children to school and reform the Amajiri system of education.
We know that here we're looking at education very seriously. Yes. I believe that in the coming year we'll try to build model schools all the local governments.
The move is supported by the stakeholders who are saying that all hands must be on deck to give hope to the Amajiri and out-of-school children in Nigeria. In Calabar, Maureen Leo, Ajom, NTA News.
The Minister of Police Affairs, Ibrahim Gaidam, has reminded security agencies that by exchanging insights and expertise, law enforcement agencies can collectively analyze emerging risks, identify systemic vulnerabilities, and formulate comprehensive strategies to mitigate the potential threats. This was at a 3-day workshop on West African Information System in Abuja. Francis Ford reports.
The Minister of Police Affairs enjoins stakeholders to put up their thinking caps and articulate strategies that will promote collaboration among law enforcement agencies.
Raising security challenges and stress in the country, there is no better time than now to build on strengthening interagency collaboration.
Teamwork makes the dream work. No one organization will be able to solve this problem by themselves.
The criminal justice sector, we acknowledge that the safety and security of our communities rely heavily on the effective and timely exchange of critical information.
The issue of information sharing is a sine qua non in trying to protect and property.
With the team, interagency collaboration on information sharing, the 3-day workshop focuses on achieving one of the deliverables vested on the Ministry of Police Affairs by President Bola Tinubu on tackling security challenges. Francis Form, NTA News.
We now go to Lagos, where Jennifer is standing by with stories from the Center of Excellence. Hello, Jennifer.
Thank you, Lami. Continuous stakeholder engagement has become necessary to ensure safety and privacy of digital users, particularly in the age of digital transformation. This was reiterated by various speakers at the 2024 Digital Jurist Awards, organized by Philips Consulting. The Nigerian Television Authority was nominated as one of the federal government's agencies with the best social media platforms. Amaka Owo reports.
In this era of dynamics in the digital ecosystem, building sustainable platforms is crucial in driving the future. This formed the theme of the 15th edition of the Digital Jurist Awards.
Develop workflows that also show the connections, the interdependencies, how data should flow within the organization.
Digital transformation is a new way of thinking, improving consumer behavior.
Categories of awards were presented to various organizations across sectors with the best mobile apps, portals, social media platforms, and websites. The Digital Jurist Awards also recognize the contributions of the Nigerian Authority as a leading light in the digital transformation of the broadcast industry under the leadership of the Director General Salihu Abdulhamid Dembos, who was represented by the Zonal Director NTA Lagos Network Center.
It is heartwarming that we even got a nomination in the first place. That's a testimony to the fact that the public, the viewers, and the stakeholders are taking notice of what we are doing in NTA. We hope to continue on that trajectory.
Organizers say digital transformation goes beyond technology to leadership.
The leadership is the envisioning, the thinking big, thinking bold, thinking of the next level of customer convenience, thinking of the next level of people convenience, and then how can I make technology support it?
What
digitization can do in the organization. We have prefigured this in constructing our verticals, and that is how we engage with our clients and prospects.
The need for of requisite technological skills that will drive innovation in the nearest future. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Now, technology is the global economic's driving force, empowering innovation and shaping the future of nations. Despite its vast potential, women are said to be underrepresented in the field. This disparity is what Nkechi Ali Balogun strives to dismantle at the 24th NECCI Public Relations Roundtable with the theme, Women in Technology, Breaking Barriers. Adeola Komi Akere has more.
The call for women to explore roles in shaping the digital world and creating a more inclusive and equitable space to thrive in technology is what the 21st NECCI PR conference aims to address.
If we are going to run an inclusive tech ecosystem, we must recognize the contributions of women and make sure that they are not neglected.
Ogun State Deputy Governor Naimot Salako Oyedele says there should be a shift in mindset, acknowledging and actively mobilizing and developing strategies that empower women to not only enter the tech space, but to thrive and redefine it.
Each woman who chooses to step into this field doesn't just clear a path for herself, she clears one for countless others who will follow.
So if we're looking at improving the economic prosperity of our nation, of our continent, we need more women to participate in tech industry.
However, some tech experts believe that there is underrepresentation of women in the technology space.
You have only about 13% of women in tech spaces. So we need to do a lot more for women to ensure that they can have equitable access.
And I think their adventure into technology will be the ultimate goal.
What are the takeaways from the 21st NECCI PR Roundtable?
Session of her doing it is a testimony to the impact it's made.
Make sure that you're learning the latest innovations in technology.
And in order for us to work with technology, we need to have a good knowledge of it.
The NECCI PR Roundtable, which highlights and offers solutions to pressing issues in Nigeria, inducted Ogun State Deputy Governor and Professor Ralph Akinfeleye into its Hall of Fame. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
Those are the stories from Lagos at this hour. The news will continue shortly with...
saying the federal government says work will soon begin on the Ondo State axis of the 63-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project. Minister of Works, David Umahi, who stated this at a stakeholders meeting in Akure, reassures that the project aims at enhancing transportation and boosting economic activities in the region. Ifeoluwa Omosule has the details.
The 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, which includes a 63-kilometer stretch in Ondo State, is set to enhance connectivity across the region and improve the socio-economic landscape of the country. During a working visit to Akure, Minister of Works David Umahi, alongside members of the House of Representatives and Senate Committee on Works, emphasized their commitment to prioritizing road infrastructure, declaring that days of abandoned road projects are over.
We are providing a platform for a new hope agenda to thrive. In the past, we have based our contractors on what they thought we definition of life. We have lived it. If you give the job, you have to use your mobilization to do the job.
Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa commended the federal government for the initiative, assuring that the state is prepared for full cooperation and ensure the safety of communities near the construction sites.
Yes, the first thing we have to do is to provide an enabling environment for the area to be peaceful, talk to the community, the stakeholders, to cooperate with the contractors so that they can have ease of doing their job.
The coastal highway is scheduled for official flag off in December. In Akure, Ifeoluwa Omosule, NTA News.
The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM, has commended the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, and his team for the recent contactless biometrics innovation in passport application and collection processes. The contactless biometrics innovation is available for renewals and for persons above 18 years of age and kicks off on November 1st in Canada, November 15th in the U.S., and December 1st in all other countries. NIDCOM boss Dabiri Erewa says Nigerians abroad have long anticipated improvements in accessing passport services, noting that the initiative will ease the burden on citizens globally. She emphasized NIDCOM's readiness to support these reforms through advocacy and sensitization. The Minister of Interior underscores the ministry's commitment to working closely with NIDCOM and the Nigeria Immigration Service to ensure the reforms are successful. Business News is next with Benny Adams. Over to you, Benny.
Thank you, Lami. Now talking business, the Nigeria-Morocco Business Week has ended with renewed commitments to strengthening trade and investment between the two countries. Musa Abubakar has details of that event.
Business Week and the investment delegation from Nigeria are still engaging Moroccan business on possible partnerships. The automotive sector is one key area the Nigeria Automotive Design and Development Council is keen to reposition with a visit like this.
We have a lot of lithium in Nigeria, which means we only need little thing to bring in, and with the lithium we'll be able to produce the battery they are producing here. So we want to learn from them. We want them to come and cooperate with us. We want to start having that exchange of idea and then transfer of technology.
As of 2023, Morocco ranked first on the African continent's car exports with a value of around $6.4 billion. This has aroused Nigeria's appetite to collaborate with their Moroccan counterparts with a view to strengthening the automotive sector.
We make two wheels electric motorcycles, we make three wheels motorcycles. And we'll be more than happy, to transfer, our know-how in these things and have a cooperation with Nigeria.
The Nigeria-Morocco Business Week has officially come to a close, marking a significant step forward in the economic relationship between two of Africa's most influential economies. In Morocco, I am Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Thank you, Musa there. Now, at the end of last week, day of trading on the first of the month, markets remained bearish as the oil share index declined by 0.22%. We can see the numbers. The oil share index at the end of trading ended 97,432.02%, which is a depreciation from yesterday's market closure. Now, equity capitalization also declined slightly by 59 trillion naira. Talking about the number of deals, we had 8,800 traded in number of volumes 888.7 million, all valued at 15.8 billion naira. And looking at the stocks, talking about the top trades at this particular point in time, Fidelity Bank came tops with 540.8 million, followed by Jais Bank 68.7 million, Chams 49.3 million, which is to say the banking stocks are doing really good. Now, compared with the previous trading day, today's data shows 67% improvement in volume, 79% improvement in turnover, but 3% decline in deals. And on the aggregate, we have 123 listed equities that participated in the trading. And at the end, we had 23 gainers and 31 losers. Now, a quick look at the markets in Europe. You can see the DAX is all in green. DAX is all in green. Talking about Europe, like in Asia, we just had the Nikkei, the in red, while the Hang Composite is actually in the positive. And looking at the African markets also is a good start. We have Ghana, we have the South Africa, JSC all in positive, only the Tunisia Tune Index in red. That is it on business at this point in time. Lami, is over to you.
Thank you, Benny. Exhibition of bad attitudes and inappropriate conduct in the face of provocations or challenging moments by leaders necessitates a national policy on emotional intelligence training for all Nigerian leaders. This suggestion was made by leadership consultant and trainer Colonel Joseph Ajanaku, retired, during a two-day training on improving performance at workplaces through ethical leadership and emotional intelligence for top management staff of the NTA. Joseph Otsen reports.
It is an already planned training by management of the Nigerian Television Authority, but the recent assault on an online taxi driver by a member of the House of Representatives validates its importance even more. Participants here comprises assistant directors to the level of executive directors.
They are trained in the art and science of leadership wherever they are working, so that we can encourage efficiency.
We started leadership consultant Colonel Joseph Ajanaku, retired, attributes colonial mentality of bosses being superior beings and followers inferior to the arrogant and other poor attitudes exhibited by many leaders.
Why don't we begin by mainstreaming emotional intelligence training in every leadership position? No matter the position, either in the house, at work. So if you have it, then you can think straight.
If you're a leader and you are not connected to the people you're leading, you are not a true leader.
A kind of watchword is to carry everybody along.
Director General, Nigerian Television Authority, Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, is appreciative, describing the exercise as much needed.
I want to say a very big thank you and congratulate you and appreciate for all the efforts.
The understanding here is that application of emotional intelligence breeds healthier working environments. In Abuja, Joseph Otsen, NTA News.
Sports News Sunday with Sports News.
Thanks, Lami. Our Super Eagles coach, Austin Eguavoin, has promised to build a solid team that will qualify and contend for the Championship of African Nations title in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania from February 1 to 28, 2025. Eguavoin is known after assessing invited players during training session at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, as the team prepared to face familiar foes, Ghana, in the CHAN qualifiers later in December.
Impressive, only 2 sections, but you can see that technically they're very good. We still have a lot of work to do because they're coming from different clubs. And we have to try to see how we can blend them now and make them play as one team, as one unit.
Nigeria has missed qualification for the last 2 editions of the tournament. Let's move on and tell you that El Kanemi Warriors' unbeaten start to the season is on the line when they host Katsina United on March Day 10 of the Nigeria Premier Football League. Reigning champions, Rangers of Enugu, are up against Nasarawa United. Heartland seek consecutive wins when they play away to Abia Warriors, as Bayelsa United weigh up Eyimba, the People's Elephants, for size. Rivers, who are also unbeaten this season, are up against strugglers Ikorodu City, while it will be a battle of stars when Remo face Lobi. Newly appointed Manchester United head coach Ruben Amorim is set to bring in 5 of his assistants from Sporting Lisbon when he moves to the north of England on November 11 as the 6th permanent boss since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013. The record Premier League champions announced the appointment of the 39-year-old earlier on Friday to replace Erik ten Hag. But Amorim's first match in charge in the league is against Ipswich Town away from home, while his first game at Old Trafford will be in the Europa League against Bodo Glimt on November 28. And still in the English Premier League, Arsenal are at the Sports Direct Arena to face Newcastle United in the early kickoff on Saturday. Leaders Manchester City take on Bournemouth just as Liverpool welcome Brighton to Anfield. The marquee fixture of the weekend is slated for Old Trafford, when Manchester United and Chelsea go toe-to-toe. And that's your sports. It's back to Lami.
And that also does it on Network News. We thank you for watching. Do have a good weekend.